Welcome back to Us Mint Mysteries, the channel where everyday pocket change turns into jaw-dropping hidden treasure. Today's video is not just about old pennies, it's about 5 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that could completely change your life if you find one hiding in your collection. Some of these coins look ordinary, worn, even boring at first glance, but in the right condition or with the right tiny detail, collectors have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in rare cases, well over $500,000 for just a single penny. Now, let's begin with our first penny. And this one is a perfect example of how a coin that looks damaged or even ugly at first glance can still hide a shocking secret. This is a 1934 Lincoln Wheat Penny, shown here in fine condition, with a rusty, rough appearance on the front side. Most people would take one look at this coin and toss it aside, assuming corrosion has destroyed any value. But that exact assumption is what causes collectors to miss life-changing finds. The 1934 wheat penny was minted during the heart of the Great Depression. Money was tight, pennies were heavily used, and few people saved them in high grade. That alone makes surviving examples harder to find today, especially ones that still show strong design detail. Even in fine condition, you can clearly see Lincoln's portrait, the outline of his coat, and the bold date. That tells us this coin lived a hard life in circulation, passing through countless hands during one of America's toughest eras. Now, let's talk about that rusty appearance on the front. A normal 1934 penny was struck on a bronze planchet made of copper, tin, and zinc. Bronze does not rust the way steel does, so when collectors see reddish-brown corrosion, pitting, or flaky texture, alarms go off. This kind of surface can come from environmental damage, but it can also point to something far more interesting: a wrong planchet strike, metal contamination, or severe mint-era lamination problems. Here's where things get exciting. In circulated condition, a normal 1934 wheat penny is worth only a few dollars. In clean, uncirculated condition, values jump into the hundreds. But coins like this one are not judged the same way. They are judged on story, rarity, and authentication. If this penny's rust-like texture is confirmed by a professional grading service to be the result of a wrong metal planchet error, the value changes instantly. Off-metal Lincoln cents from the 1930s are among the most desirable error coins in the hobby. A confirmed 1934 penny struck on an unintended steel or experimental planchet, even in fine condition, can command $75,000 to $150,000, depending on eye appeal and documentation. And here's the jaw-dropping part. If testing reveals this coin was struck on a previously undocumented or transitional planchet, something that was never meant to leave the mint floor, collectors enter bidding war territory. At major auctions, unique off-metal wheat pennies from the early 1930s have crossed $250,000, and in extreme cases, with full authentication and strong provenance, prices can push past $450,000. Even if the coin turns out not to be off-metal, there is still another layer: severe lamination errors, where metal separates and corrodes from within due to faulty alloy mixing. At the mint, can still bring $5,000 to $15,000, and that's for a coin most people would call ruined. The emotional power of this penny is its deception. It looks weak, it looks damaged, it looks worthless, but collectors know that the mint made mistakes, especially during high-pressure years like 1934, when production speed mattered more than perfection. So, if you have a 1934 wheat penny with unusual texture, rough surfaces, or rust-like color, never clean it, never scrape it, and never assume it's junk. That ugly penny could be a silent survivor of a mint error that rewrites its entire value. And as we move on to the next coin, remember this: the older the penny, the more dangerous it is to underestimate it, because the next wheat penny in this list looks even more ordinary, but its value climbs even higher. Next up, and this is where the tension starts to rise, because this penny comes from one of the most dangerous years in American coin history. 1944. What you're looking at here is a 1944's Lincoln Wheat Penny, in fine condition, with the dark black shade covering much of the surface. To most people, this coin looks burned, dirty, or chemically damaged. Some might even think it was sitting in oil or soil for decades. But experienced collectors know that when a 1944 penny turns unusually dark, almost black, it demands serious attention. The year 1944 sits right in the middle of World War II. During this time, the U.S. Mint was under massive pressure to produce coins quickly while also conserving metal for the war effort. In 1943, pennies were struck in steel to save copper. In 1944, the mint officially returned to copper, but not the normal copper you'd expect. Many 1944 cents were struck using recycled brass shell casings from the battlefield, creating unstable metal mixes that sometimes reacted strangely over time. Now, here's where things get exciting. A normal 1944 wheat penny in circulated condition might be worth a few cents, even in uncirculated condition, are valued in the low hundreds. But this coin is not normal, and the black shade is the clue. First, let's address the big shocker. Some 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on leftover 1943 steel planchets. These are legendary. A genuine 1944 steel cent is one of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered. And here's the catch: when steel cents are exposed to moisture or heat over decades, they often turn dark gray or black. Especially if corrosion sets in, this 1944 penny is attracted to a magnet. Collectors immediately stop breathing for a second. A confirmed 1944 steel wheat penny, even in fine condition, can sell for $300,000 to $600,000, depending on authentication and eye appeal. And if the coin shows strong mint mark clarity with original surfaces, elite auctions have pushed prices even higher. But let's say it's not steel. The story doesn't end there. That black shade could also indicate a wrong alloy mix caused by recycled wartime brass reacting with environmental exposure. Some of these coins develop deep charcoal or oily black surfaces that look unnatural compared to normal brown cents. If grading services confirm a mint-caused alloy anomaly, values can still land between $25,000 and $75,000, even in fine condition. There's also the possibility of a burned or improperly annealed planchet, where the metal was overheated before striking. These coins often show dark, almost scorched surfaces and uneven color. Mint error specialists actively hunt these pieces, and confirmed examples from the San Francisco Mint can command $8,000 to $20,000. What makes this coin emotionally powerful is its timing. This penny was born during wartime, possibly made from battlefield metal, struck fast, spent hard, and forgotten for decades. And now, all these years later, that dark surface might be whispering a secret that only collectors know how to hear. If you have a 1944 wheat penny with an unusual black or dark gray tone, do not clean it, do not polish it, and never assume it's damaged. That darkness could be the very thing that makes it extraordinary. We're halfway through today's list, and if you're enjoying uncovering these hidden penny secrets, make sure you subscribe to us Mint Mysteries, because the next coin looks even more ordinary than this one, yet its value has shocked collectors worldwide. Moving on, the next wheat penny comes from a year most people completely ignore, and that's exactly why it has fooled so many families for generations. Moving on, and this is where quiet pennies start to become dangerous. This next coin doesn't scream rarity. It doesn't show dramatic damage or strange color. In fact, this is exactly the kind of penny that sits unnoticed in collections for decades. And that's what makes it so powerful. This is a 1949 Lincoln Wheat Penny, shown here in fine condition. At first glance, it looks honest, worn, and completely ordinary. Lincoln's portrait is still clear, the date is strong, and the San Francisco Mint mark is visible beneath the year. To most people, this is just another old wheat penny, but to seasoned collectors, the 1949 is a coin that raises eyebrows instantly. Here's why. After World War II, the U.S. Mint went through major changes in production, dyes, and quality control. San Francisco struck far fewer cents than Philadelphia during this period, and many dyes were overused, repunched, or mismatched. that created a quiet storm of rare varieties, many of which were never noticed until decades later. In normal circulated condition, a common 1949s penny might only be worth a few dollars. Even in uncirculated condition, standard examples usually top out in the low hundreds. But that's only if the coin is completely ordinary. And this is where the suspense builds. Collectors aggressively search 1949s pennies for hidden die varieties, especially double dies, repunched mint marks, and rare die pairings that slip through the mint unnoticed. Some of these varieties are so subtle that they were missed for over 50 years. Tiny doubling in the date, slight separation in the lettering of Liberty, or unusual spacing in the wheat ears on the reverse can turn a forgettable penny into a headline coin. If a 1949s penny is confirmed as a major double die, obverse or reverse, values explode. Even in fine condition, authenticated examples have sold for $45,000 to $120,000, and when collectors compete for one with strong eye appeal and original surfaces, prices climb fast. But the real shock comes with the rarest discoveries. A handful of 1949s cents have been linked to experimental die states and undocumented varieties, coins struck from dies that were never officially recorded. When one of these surfaces, it becomes a once-in-a-generation event. At elite auctions, unique or near-unique wheat penny varieties from the late 1940s have pushed into the $300,000 to $500,000 range. And yes, even in circulated condition. Why? Because rarity beats condition every single time. There's also another layer collectors watch closely with 1949s pennies: planchet thickness and weight anomalies. During post-war metal shortages, inconsistent alloy mixing sometimes created cents that are slightly heavier or lighter than normal. These differences are invisible to the naked eye, but dramatic under testing. Confirmed mint-caused planchet errors from this year have sold for $10,000 to $35,000. Depending on severity, what makes this coin emotionally powerful is how easily it hides in plain sight. Families pass it down, collectors overlook it, and yet, under magnification and professional grading, it can transform from a modest wheat penny into a six-figure surprise. So, if you have a 1949s wheat penny, don't rush past it. Study the date, study the letters, study the mint mark, because this is the kind of coin that rewards patience and punishes assumptions. And as we move forward, the next penny on our list comes from a year so famous, so talked about, that most people think they already know everything about it. But the version we're about to reveal is on an entirely different level. Next up, and now, we're stepping much deeper into dangerous territory, because this penny comes from the very beginning of the Lincoln cent story, a time when almost no one thought about saving coins at all. This is a 1911 Lincoln Wheat Penny, shown here in no fine condition, meaning it is heavily worn, with soft details, smooth fields, and clear signs of long circulation. To an untrained eye, this coin looks tired, old, maybe even close to worthless. But for serious collectors, an early date Lincoln cent like this is never ignored, no matter how worn it appears. The year 1911 sits just 2 years after the very first Lincoln cents were introduced in 1909. At that time, these pennies were everywhere. They were used daily, carried in pockets, dropped on streets, and spent without a second thought. Almost none were saved in high condition. That means even low-grade survivors today represent a shrinking population of coins that lived through more than a century of American history. In basic circulated condition, a normal 1911 wheat penny may only sell for a modest amount. But this coin's real power does not come from its surface, it comes from what could be hiding within it. Early Lincoln cents like 1911 are prime candidates for die varieties and mint errors that were never caught. The mint's quality control in the early 1900s was inconsistent, and dies were used far beyond their ideal lifespan. This created doubled lettering, shifted dates, weak strikes, and subtle design distortions that only modern collectors fully understand. If this 1911 penny shows a double die obverse, Especially in the date or in Lincoln's profile, values rise instantly. Even in low-grade condition, confirmed double die examples have sold for $25,000 to $60,000. And when a strong variety appears with clear doubling, regardless of where, collectors compete aggressively. But the story goes even further. Some 1911 pennies have been discovered struck on incorrect or defective planchets, including alloying consistencies and internal metal flaws that cause unusual texture or color. Because bronze composition was still being refined at the time, some coins reacted differently over the decades. If professional testing confirms a mint-caused alloy anomaly, prices can climb into the $75,000 to $150,000 range. And then there's the kind of discovery that stops the entire coin world. A handful of early Lincoln cents, including coins from 1911, have surfaced with previously undocumented die states, coins struck during a short window before dies cracked, shifted, or were retired. These pieces are often unique or nearly unique. When one appears, condition becomes secondary to existence. In elite auctions, rare early-date Lincoln cents with unique characteristics have crossed $300,000, and in extraordinary cases with full authentication and historical significance, prices have pushed well beyond $450,000, even when the coin itself shows heavy wear. That's the emotional punch of this penny. It doesn't need to look beautiful. It only needs to be real, early, and different. So if you have a 1911 wheat penny that looks worn down, don't dismiss it. Don't clean it. Don't assume its story is finished. That smooth surface may have been shaped by over 100 years of history, and possibly by a mistake made at the mint that no one noticed until now. And as we approach the final coin in today's list, the stakes rise one last time, because the next wheat penny is one that collectors chase obsessively, and when it appears with the right detail, can reach values that feel almost unreal. And now, we come to the final penny in today's list, and this is where everything builds to a powerful finish. Because this coin proves that condition, timing, and hidden details can turn a modern-looking wheat penny into a collector's obsession. This is a 1951 Lincoln Wheat Penny, shown here in extra fine condition. Right away, this coin feels different. Lincoln's portrait is sharp. The hair detail is strong. The cheekbone still has definition. The wheat ears on the reverse show clear lines with minimal wear. This is not a tired penny. This is a coin that survived decades of circulation while holding onto its dignity. And that matters more than many people realize. The year 1951 sits at the very end of the wheat penny era, just 1 year before the design changed forever. By this time, fewer people were paying attention to wheat cents, and many were casually discarded or ignored as old but common. That mindset created the perfect environment for rare varieties and mint errors to slip through unnoticed. In normal circulated grades, a 1951 wheat penny might not raise excitement, but in extra fine condition, collectors pause. Why? Because high-grade survivors from this year are far scarcer than people assume, especially ones with clean surfaces, original color, and no signs of cleaning. Now here's where the tension rises. Collectors examine 1951 pennies closely for subtle double dies, especially in the date, the word, liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." Some doubling from this year is faint, almost ghost-like, the kind that only appears under magnification, but when confirmed by a grading service, even light doubling can transform value dramatically. A genuine 1951 double die penny in extra fine condition can command $40,000 to $90,000. And if the doubling is strong and clearly visible, prices climb fast. But that's not the ceiling. The 1951 issue is also known for die deterioration errors, where overused dies created warped letters, distorted numbers, and unusual textures in Lincoln's portrait. These coins often look slightly off, not dramatic, but different enough to stand out. High-grade examples with dramatic die deterioration have sold for $10,000 to $25,000. and demand continues to rise as collectors chase end-of-era wheat cents. Then comes the category that makes collectors' hearts race off metal and planchet anomalies. During the early 1950s, leftover and contaminated planchets occasionally entered production. If a 1951 penny is discovered struck on an incorrect alloy, or shows abnormal weight confirmed by testing, values leap instantly. A confirmed off-metal 1951 wheat penny, even without a mint mark, can reach $150,000 to $300,000. And if the coin represents a previously undocumented planchet error, something unique, elite collectors step in aggressively. At that level, bidding wars can push prices well beyond $450,000, especially when the coin's condition is extra fine or better. What makes this penny such a powerful closer is its illusion of safety. It looks normal. It looks clean. It looks like the kind of coin people feel confident about ignoring. But that confidence is exactly what allows rare varieties to hide for decades. This penny marks the end of an era. 1 year later, the wheat design disappeared forever. That historical weight, combined with strong condition and the possibility of hidden mint errors, makes the 1951 wheat penny one of the most dangerous, ordinary coins a collector can own. So if you have a 1951 wheat penny in extra fine condition, don't rush past it. Study it, weigh it, magnify it. Because sometimes, the most valuable secrets aren't found in the oldest coins, they're found in the ones people stop looking at too soon. And that's what Us Mint Mysteries is all about, revealing the hidden stories, shocking values, and unbelievable truths hiding inside America's smallest coins.